Today, Bolzano, capital city of South Tyrol, is a flourishing city, but few people know that during the lower Permian the area was occupied by a supervolcano. While the city lays about 46 degrees north in the northeastern of Italy, near the Austrian border, the geological succession it is built on has drifted far in the past 280 million years. During the early Permian area, the territory nowadays well known for the Dolomites was located near the equator. Where today we can see impressive mountains, then it was covered by small hills that remained of the Hercynian orogeny. The climate was warm and dry. The supervolcano of Bolzano has a diameter of approximately 70 kilometers, and its border extends to the cities of Merano and Trento, located more than 30 kilometers south and north of Bolzano, respectively. The volcanic activity lasted for about 12 million years, with periods of activity interspersed with hundreds of thousands or even millions of years of volcanic stasis. During these intervals, erosion occurred and lakes of various sizes formed in the depressions of the Caldera. The borders of the lakes were occupied by open forests with conifers as the main canopy species, and horsetails, lycophytes, ferns and seed ferns in the understory. The animal life was represented by small and medium-sized temnospondyls, parareptiles and aerocelid reptiles. During this time interval, the world experienced a shift from the late Paleozoic Ice Age, LPIR, to the greenhouse world of the late Permian and the Jurassic periods. Radiometric dating of the volcanic rocks has allowed us to accurately date the sedimentary successions deposited during periods of volcanic stasis. As a result, these Permian terrestrial ecosystems are among the best dated and can be traced over a period of 12 million years. In 2019, a research project was launched to study the composition of the terrestrial ecosystems and their change over time. The project was funded by the Research South Tyrol grant of the autonomous province of Bolzano and involved several institutions, including the Geological Survey of the Autonomous Province of Bolzano, the University of Innsbruck and Padova, and the Muse. The project was led by the Museum of Nature South Tyrol and involved more than 20 junior and senior scientists. To share the results of the research with both fellow scientists and the general public living in the area, a special exhibition was created.
Mein Name ist Evelyn Kustatscher, ich bin Koordinatorin für Paläontologie hier am Naturmuseum und ich bin Forschungsprojektleiterin des Projektes Living with the Supervolcano und gleichzeitig wissenschaftliche Koordinatorin der Ausstellung.
Mein Name ist Marit Schweighöfler, ich arbeite im Bereich Vermittlung hier im Naturmuseum und bin auch Kuratorin dieser Ausstellung.
Wie kam es eigentlich zu diesem Projekt? Das ist eigentlich ganz relativ lustig abgelaufen, nämlich ich habe das Projekt einfach nur in einem regelmäßigen Aktion, die wir hier im Naturmuseum haben, nämlich einem Museumstreff der Belegschaft, also im Haus intern vorgestellt, und Margit ist dann auf mich zugekommen und gemeint, das wäre doch eine coole Idee für eine Ausstellung.
Evelyn hat es so interessant vorgestellt, dass das mich so inspiriert hat, dass wir uns gleich danach getroffen haben und schon die ersten Überlegungen angestellt haben.
Genau.
The research project is not finished yet. So it's not everything that we have not published all our results yet, but we have already a few results which we can share with the public, which have been quite interesting for us. One of them is this stem that we have here. It's a partly permineralized stem that is still in situ, meaning it is still standing within the sediments it has been growing originally. Now it has been transported to the museum, but originally where we took it from, it was really standing on the same place where it has been growing during his lifetime. And this is peculiar because if you look at the anatomy of this stem, what you can see, it's a conifer. Now, we wouldn't expect really a conifer type of forest in the early Permian. And so what we are getting here is something really exceptional. So we have quite closely standing conifers giving origin to a forest in the early Permian in the tropics. Now, these early Permian conifers are, however, a little bit peculiar because what we have is a central stem, lateral growing, horizontally growing roots, showing that these conifers were actually adapted to a more humid environment. And we know from the shoots we have found here that we have two types of conifers, which is quite exceptional because we are quite early in the Permian yet. But we have already the historical ones, so let's say the primitive ones, which are typical from the latest Carboniferous onwards, but we have already the first occurrence of modern conifers, the Volcanic conifers, in this locality. So this is actually the earliest occurrence of conifers in the world, in the evolved conifers in the world. So it's quite interesting. Now, this is one of the oldest sections, or actually the oldest section we can study in this area, in our caldera system. But we can, of course, compare all the different time slices we are studying also with other time slices around the world. And what we are seeing is that we have a change in the composition in our terrestrial ecosystems. So if we look at the earliest ones, we have more humid-loving plants and animals in here, meaning that we have more amphibians, that we have less reptilians, we have especially ferns, horsetails, or even among the conifers, we have forms, or seed ferns, we have forms that are more humid elements. Now, if we go through time, we see that slowly we have a decrease in amphibians and all the more humid-loving plants in here, and an increase of all the animals like reptiles that are more resistant also to moments of seasonal or whatever dry. And the same happens also with the plants. And this a transition from a more humid and let's call it colder in a very literal sense, to a more drier and warmer period of time has been recently published in 2022 as the Athesian warming episode, meaning it's something that we can really trace on a global scale in the world. And we have been describing it here also from the Dolomites.
Als Wissenschaftlerin ist es eine große Herausforderung, ein ganzes Forschungsprojekt irgendwie in eine Ausstellung zu packen. Und das geht effektiv auch nicht. Das, was man machen muss, ist in solchen Momenten, wie wir es hatten, wir hatten ja 12 Millionen Jahre eine riesen Caldera, 9 verschiedene Vulkanausbrüche und entsprechende Zwischenschichten und vor allem 22 verschiedene Fundpunkte, die wir studiert haben. Und was wir dann halt einfach machen mussten, ist ganz neutral entscheiden, was ist wirklich relevant, was muss vermittelt werden. Und auf der anderen Seite, was kann man auch von den wissenschaftlich sehr interessanten Themen auch einfach für eine Ausstellung weglassen?
Ja, für die Vermittlung ist es so, paläontologische Themen sind meistens für das Publikum mit Dinosaurier verbunden, also Dinosaurier. Wir hatten die ja gar nicht. Also, nein. Und deswegen, das war für uns wirklich eine Herausforderung, die Themen herauszuholen, die aber trotzdem gut verständlich sind, wo die Leute auch gleich mitkommen und nicht zuerst wo komplizierte Sachverhalte sind. Zum Beispiel Fußspuren. Fußspuren sind ein Thema, das ist leicht vermittelbar, sehr unmittelbar, und man kann das sehr gut auch Kindern vermitteln. Das ist auch, also Menschen, die eben nichts mit Paläontologie zu tun haben. Sogar ich habe das verstanden. Das hier ist ein gutes Beispiel für ein Fossil, das in den Augen der Besucher vielleicht weniger sensationell ist, aber für Paläontologen von großer Aussage ist. Wir haben hier den Besuchern einen Pfeil hingelegt, damit sie die Spuren sehen können. Denn was eigentlich Paläontologen machen, ist, sie sind sehr gute Spurenleser. Und das versuchen wir hier in der Ausstellung auch zu vermitteln, dass es nicht so sichtbare oft Spuren sind oder nicht so unmittelbar sichtbare Spuren, sondern dass es oft Spuren sind, wo man genauer hinschauen muss. Und das können hier die Besucher ebenfalls ausprobieren. Da es sehr schwierig ist, sich den Supervulkan und seine verschiedenen Ausbrüche vorzustellen, haben wir die Projektion gewählt, die diese 12 Millionen Jahre in einer Simulation sehr gut verdeutlichen. Also die Veränderungen, die Größe der Ausbrüche, das Ausmaß, das konnte so sehr, sehr gut vermittelt werden.
So, This here is the Tridentinosaurus shroom, which is actually the most famous fossil from the early Permian of the Southern Alps, because it's considered the oldest reptile or the oldest tetrapod that we have in the Alps. Now, the problem was that we had, on one side, a project that was delayed due to the COVID pandemic crisis, and on the other side, we had already booked our slot for the exhibition time. So the moment we opened the exhibition, and currently now, we are not yet done with our analysis of the Tridentinosaurus itself. So we have not completely unraveled or solved the mystery of the Tridentinosaurus. So what did we decide to do in this case? To create a CSI board. So we have our data, the Tridentinosaurus, and on this side, visitor can see how we try to point together all the historical points from the discovery to the exhibition and how the animal died. Whereas on this side, which is the one that is still not completely finished, there are all the different steps we have taken, or Valentina Rossi has taken, to try to understand how this animal is preserved and what type of information it can give us today.
We hope you enjoyed this brief virtual tour and will have the chance to visit the exhibition in person. In any case, there are several papers about the topic currently under review, so keep your eyes open for those.